institutions that we've been living with for the past 500 years, certainly for the past 100 years, are strictly incapable of actually navigating this transition on their own. We have to build these new institutions, and the old institutions are going away, unfortunately, rather rapidly. This is going to be a holistic problem. For example, a psycho-spiritual problem, a cultural problem, in addition to being a technical engineering problem. When we go through these kinds of transitions, a big part of the movement, of course, is innovation, new things. But another big part of the movement is actually going back and recovering things that were erased during the previous movement. We've spent 500 years erasing the more fundamental piece of what is actually a triad, the commons. When I started actually realizing that this triad was actually fundamental, I had to renovate the concept of commons in my own mind. And if you can really grasp it as a notion, you can begin to think about how to properly architect a new city, a new state, a new category. It's more fundamental than either the market or the state. And if you have the commons actually built correctly, with the right stuff in it being governed properly, then the market does what the market does, the state does what the state does, and they don't try to cross over. We have to figure out a way to think about that in a new way. And we also have to figure out how to actually do it in this new environment. If you're actually serious about this notion of network state, of new cities, if you can't build families, if you can't cultivate a real, vital, lived culture that can engage in intergenerational transmission, then you're just a tourist or a parasite on the existing system. This one, hyperstructures, I hope is common currency here, but it's not, it needs to be. It's a fundamental category. It actually belongs in the realm of the commons. And think about Bitcoin. Once it's built, it replaces the notion of bureaucracy. Now, bureaucracy is a way that we build institutions in the old slow AI modality. Hyperstructures, once they're designed, they just do what they do. They're just tools. So to the degree to which we can build hyperstructures that hold critical elements of our infrastructure as a commons, i.e. once they're built, they just run properly, that's a key element of this new transition. Look at how you can build hyperstructures as a fundamental component, and then how human being groups, say for example DAOs, can interface with those. Commons are often actually built by human relationships. Obviously, we're not going to be at the virtual level knowing each other well, which is where this whole new layer of ways of virtualizing reputation and relationships starts to become the key lever. So this is where things like soul-bound tokens will be part of the infrastructure. Under the liberation of these new virtual technologies, humans will actually begin to migrate away from high-density urban environments because they no longer need to be there to participate in generative activity. How do we get them into places where they can actually tap into authentic humanness and be able to actually rebuild stuff that we left behind thousands of years ago? The modern world thought we could do without it. And the reality is that we've been actually eating the seed corn of religion now for 500 years, and the seed corn's just about gone. And a big part of the reason why our culture is disintegrating is because we've hollowed out this fundamental characteristic. We've really lost track of what this concept actually means. So as a provisional, the cultivation of values, which is both the recognition of what our values are and how they relate to each other in a proper fashion, and then practices that cause us to actually live those values as individuals and as communities. And here's a big piece of where the stuff that came from the past is almost certainly necessary for us to actually do it in the future. And let me throw one last concept in because I love it. The concept is called liturgy, the cognitive bodily totalizing act that steadily increases communion instead of cutting it. Many religions actually have liturgy woven in at their very, very center. What I propose is that we should be foregrounding these kinds of concepts. We should be engaging in liturgical lives as the key element of these new states. Not secondary, not tertiary. It's not money, it's not economics, it's not even longevity. It's liturgy. That's the centerpiece of any possible thing that human beings will care about enough that they'll be willing to give the lives of their children and their grandchildren to it. If you're actually serious about this, and not just play acting or having a good time in your 20s and 30s, that's what the answer has to look like.